Well, hi there, everybody. Crazy times, but here we are. So I'm actually in the classroom, and I wanted to go over just a quick lesson on section 10-1. By the way, God bless you all. I hope you're doing okay. I guess I'll take off my jacket. It's really not that cold in here. I'm looking out at all the desks, and you're not sitting there. It's really sad. Anyhow. Section 10-1, we've been working on quadratics in the last couple of chapters where y varied with x squared, right? That kind of quadratic function. These are still quadratics, except it's a square root. And so y is related to the square root of x. You can see I already got a couple things set up here. This is in your textbook, which you may want to start digging out. 10-1 square root function starts on page 621. Anyhow, this is going to look like this. The function, remember, you can always replace that with y. So y equals the square root of x. That's the parent function. And when you look at something like this, remember that you cannot take the square root of a negative number. You can take the square root of 0 as 0. The square root of 1 is 1. The square root of 4 is 2. You can take the square root of any positive number. So I wrote down some data right here. The square root of 0 is 0. The square root of 1. If I put 1 in for x, the square root of 1 is 1. If I put 4 in for x, the square root of 4, so square root of 4 is 2. So when x is equal to 4, y is equal to 2. That's the kind of thing we're looking at with this parent function. Hi, I'm back. I can plot this, just trying to keep it simple. The ordered pair is 0, 0. The ordered pair x equal to 1, y equal to 1 would be right here. The ordered pair x equal to 4, y equal to 2. 4, and 2 would be like right over here. So a graph like this is going to go like that, all right? It's going to curve over to the side. It's a curve. It curves like that. The domain is such, what can x be? Well, it can be anything 0 on up. It just can't be negative. So the domain is going to be, the way that they write this is always a little funky, but hold on. The way that they write it this way, is x. Well, here's the important part right here. This part, x is greater than or equal to 0. All right. So that's the domain. Again, the important part is that the x is greater than or equal to 0. That's the domain. It just can't be, because it can't be negative. You can't take the square root of a negative number. The range. In this case, the range is y is going to be greater than or equal to 0, because there's no, this is positive. You can't get a negative value the way that I wrote it. So y is greater than or equal to 0. So 0 or anything above. Okay. If, let me get a different color. I'm back. If I had, let's change this from the parent function. If I had, say, put a negative sign in front of this, then x still has to be, positive values, because you can't take the square root of a negative number. So that's still true. But now if I put in 1 for x, then the square root of 1 is 1, but that negative sign, then y would be negative 1. Again, if I put x in for 1, and this is my new equation, then y would equal negative 1. If I put 2 or 4 in for x, square root of 4 is 2, but there's a negative sign in the equation, then that would be negative 2. Then this new graph would look like this. When x is equal to 0, y is equal to 0. When x is equal to 1, y is equal to negative 1. When x is equal to 4, y is equal to negative 2 is going to be down here. So my point here is that when there's a negative sign in front of that, in front of the radical, this is called the radical. When there's a negative sign in front of it, it curves downwards. And your domain in this case would be x is less than or equal. No, bad teacher. X is still greater than or equal to 0. X has to be positive, greater than or equal to 0. It's the y values now that are down here, right? Y values are negative. So they're less than or equal to 0. By the way, fancy term, the thing that's underneath the radical sign is called the radicand. That is just a weird term, radicand. Radicand. That's the radicand, that thing right there. Whatever's underneath the square root sign. The other part that goes into this, let me see. What if I had y equals 2? Let's do, 2 square root of x. What would that do? Well, square root of 0 is 0. 2 times 0 is 0, so that's still 0. Put in x equal to 1. X equal to 1. Square root of 1 is 1. Times 2 would be 2. Put in 4 for x. Square root of 4 is 2. Times 2 is 4. If I wanted one more number, let's say we go up to 9. I'm just using, that's easy to do perfect squares. If I said the square root of 9, put 9 in for x. The square root of 9 is 3, and 2 times 3 is 6. So this is still going to be curved upwards, but it's going to curve a little higher. All right, because the y values go up because we're multiplying all these x values, square root of x times a number, making it go up higher for the y values, if that makes any sense. What I want to get to really briefly, because I don't want to bore you too much, is what about translations? So the way that these things are translated, if I were to write this equation, let's say we have y equals the square root of x plus 2. This is your k value. If you remember that from whatever, that translates it up or down, all right? It's a vertical shift. So in a case like the graph that we had earlier, where the parent function looked like that. That was the parent function, y equals the square root of x. This, you take all the square root of x values. We had 0, 1, 2. We put in 0 for x, got 0 for y. 1 for x, got 1 for y. 4 for x, got 2 for y. But now we're going to do all that and then add the number 2. So all the y values are going to be shifted up too. So in other words, this gets vertically shifted up. This entire graph is going to be shifted up 2 units. That's that 2. Okay? So it would look like that. It's a vertical shift of 2. And then the other thing we ran into was a horizontal shift. And a horizontal shift might look something like this, where if you had something like y equals x minus 2, that actually, hold on, shifts the graph over. Let me draw the parent function. This is the parent function. Parent function, parent function. This gets shifted. Now be careful here. that gets shifted to the right. When that's a negative sign, it's very kind of counterintuitive. It shifts that way. So this is that H. We saw once before where we had K and H. K is the horizontal, H is the K is the vertical, H is the horizontal. H for horizontal. So this is a horizontal shift to the right. Notice the negative sign that's in there, all right? That's x minus a positive 2. It's a positive shift to the right. If I had put x plus 2, I would have shifted it to the left. It's kind of counterintuitive. If I put x plus 2, I would have shifted it to the left. X minus 2, I shifted it to the right. This is a horizontal shift. So you can get vertical shifts, all right? A vertical shift, if I had, let me get a different color really quickly. If I had x minus 2 plus 1, that's my vertical shift. So x minus 2 is a horizontal shift to the right, 2 units. X minus a positive 2. H being that's 2. That's this. I'm almost done. And this is your vertical shift. That's your K. So that means it also got shifted up. Got shifted over 1. Shifted over 2 to the right. That 2. And it also got shifted up plus 1. All right. Boop. Looks something like that. Okay. So that's enough. I'm gonna. Well, you have Math Excel, so work on your Math Excel homework on this. This is all, as I said, on page 621 of your textbook. You can also use the question help. Watch this, try the homework, email me if you have a question, or I'm going to start a conference on Canvas, and you can join the conference. By the way, you can always block your webcam, all right? Like I just did, if you don't want me to see your face, or you don't even have to open up the camera if you don't want to. It's up to you. But you can ask me questions during the class period. Be sure, by the way, that you have taken the attendance quiz before like at the very beginning of every period. So take the attendance quiz, watch these videos, try the homework. And then I'll have a conference open so you can ask me questions, and we'll see how this goes. And I'll also be available for 8th hour via my email address. Okay. So God bless you all. It's crazy times. I miss you.